Alright guys, as promised, I'm going to run you through a little bit of behind the scenes here. What happens when all these frogs are coming out of the water, how we care for them before they get to anywhere they're going to go, whether they're going to be wholesale to you guys out there or they're retailed. Just give you a little idea of the labor and the absolute time that goes into this. So I have a few things set up here. Sorry, I don't have a camera person today, so it's going to kind of be stationary, so I apologize. But basically, and I'll give you this little disclaimer beforehand, I did wash my hands with RO water before I came onto this video. I'm going to be handling frogs. I don't believe in using latex or nitrile gloves with frogs. It does not help them. Their skin is too sensitive. To me, there's nothing better than absolutely clean hands. So please don't. All these comments about you're not wearing gloves. Well, we don't. The frogs are absolutely fine. My hands are always clean afterwards and before. So that's how we do things here, and it works very well. So what happens when you have a spawn and you have all these hundreds of animals that are coming out of the water? We have different staging areas, many different racks here, which you can't see because the camera's sitting still, but these frogs, they get to come out of the water, and see if you can see that. Beautiful little guys, nice chunky, still have their tail, their mouths are starting to turn, and at this point they're not eating. They're getting all their nutrition from the tail. So at this point we don't have to worry about them eating each other. They're not going to. So basically they sit, this water gets changed multiple times a day because they're blowing out a lot of poop and fecal matter at this point because they're using all their energy to get rid of this tail. So they're just basically at this point just chilling, just waiting to get past that mouth parts which are changing. So what happens then? It takes them a few days, but when they lose that tail, what I like to do here, which I don't think a lot of people do because it's just ridiculously time consuming. Every single frog gets their own 8-ounce container when they come out of the water. This is when they come out of the water, guys, so this is not their permanent homes. This is basically each frog gets their own container, they get their own food, and this helps for a couple different reasons. There's no competition. No one's eating each other. No one's going to go after each other. They got their own micro environment, so they're not having any competition. If one isn't doing very well, it helps with disease transition, things like that. We can isolate everything a lot better, so it makes a much better frog. The food, and here's the other kicker that a lot of people mess up when they get a little frog. They buy these tiny frogs. They come out, quarter to $half size, and then they put them in these 10 to 20 gallon aquariums. And then I get tons of messages, my frog's not eating. Well, guys, these are ambush hunters, which means in the wild, they're going to sit somewhere, they're going to wait for food to come across their mouths, and then they're going to attack. They're not going to generally go out and just attack and hunt for food. So if there's a lot of surface area and this frog is hunkered down, it's going to sit there and wait for food to get across. So it's bigger, there's less time that food's going to actually get across the frog's mouth, which means there's less opportunities for this frog to eat. Hence why we do smaller containers. There are actually crickets in here. You probably can't see this. We put 2 crickets per container. These guys are checked daily. And then basically, there's a lot more times that cricket's going to go near that frog's mouth, which it can then eat. Much opportunity. Makes a bigger, fatter, healthier frog. So, don't put these tiny little frogs in these huge containers. And when you put them in there, I like to use, this is what's in all of ours, I like Eco-Earth. I've used Eco-Earth for decades. I love it. Clean, great stuff. Whether you can use cocoa fiber, whatever you like to use in your, don't ever use sphagnum moss. It's asking for a big problem. Then basically they eat it, they can't pass it, and then that's it. It's game over. They're going to die on you. But if you have this little frog again, don't give them 3-4 inches of dirt. These guys are burrowing. They're going to burrow down, and that's the other question I get. I don't see my frog. Well, don't give them 4 or 5 inches of dirt because you're not going to see your frog. And the last thing that is probably the biggest issue is heat. These guys are tropical frogs, guys. They're not going to live in your air conditioning room at 68, 70 degrees and do very well. They're not going to want to eat. They have to have a warm spot, upper 70s, lower 80s, at some point in that section. Here we have a room that everybody goes into. and the room is heated to the upper 70s, lower 80s, which is nice. So we have different containers. Every container has a sheet of what genetics are in it, and it actually tells us the inventory in here as well. So we know this container here, this is all the greens that are coming out right now. So we have a bunch of different greens that we go through every single day. We have strawberries, we have albinos, 4-spot albinos, all that stuff. Like I said, they all have their own container. And now inside the containers, each one has their own thing. So that's what you get when you buy from us. You're getting individually cared for frogs, makes for a better frog, makes for a better feeding frog, a healthier frog when it gets to you guys. It's a lot more labor on our end, but I believe it really gets a better frog out to you guys. And another thing too is moisture. I get asked a lot about water bowls. These little guys really don't need water bowls. They don't need it at all because it's just another risk for them to drown. These guys have skin that they actually use to absorb, so they're getting their moisture through the wet and damp soil that you're using. And when you're using the Eco Earth, you never want it wet, so you don't want it like dark brown that is just seeping with water. You want it just that kind of regular brown color. What I do, I mix a bucket of it up with the same bucket every single time. So this is our bucket we use to mix it up. I'll take a handful after we add water to it and squeeze it out till it stops dripping. So it is no longer dripping water, but it is a really nice, rich brown color. It's still moist. Frog's getting its moisture from it. That's what goes into these cups. And you probably can't see as well, but yes, these cups do have holes in them. They can breathe through them. So sorry, a lot of this stuff you're not going to see on the video. So again, I hope this helps a little bit about your care at home. And of course, when they first arrive, they're probably not going to eat the first day or two, so don't freak out. But that's some of the mistakes that people make. But I want to show you a little bit of backstage here. All the work that we put into these frogs, it goes out to you guys, which I believe makes a much better pet frog. I'm willing to do much more labor so that you guys get a much better frog at the end of the day. So again, if you like the videos, you want to see something in particular, you have some questions, put it down there in the comments. Hit that subscribe button. Let us know that you're watching, and I'll keep making the videos for you. As long as you guys are enjoying them, you let me know, and I will keep pumping out the vids. So again, hope you guys have a great day.